This 16 by 20 canvas does not fit in the frame of the video. It's too big, and I would have to go through an awful lot of rigmarole to move my camera setup, so I think you can see enough of it. I'm just showing you here my first layer background. I started, as you saw earlier, by just covering 95% of this canvas with texture paste. I was really scraping the bottom of my jar, so for this application it's all going to be collaged over, so it didn't matter that I didn't get complete and full coverage. Some spots are thicker, others are thinner. This was the golden high flow acrylic in quinacridone nickel azo gold, which is my absolute favorite. I watered it down probably a good 50-50 and used this is a 2-inch brush, scumbled it on, and then took a paper towel and just dabbed at it to just create more texture. A note of caution: if you do this and you use texture paste on canvas and then heat it with the craft dryers get a lot hotter than hair dryers. Don't hold it in one spot for too long, or you will bubble the film of the texture paste, so it'll boil. You don't want that. Keep the dryer moving until it feels pretty dry, and you can tell by if you just lightly lay your hand on a spot where you haven't had the dryer for a couple minutes. If it still feels cold or cool to the touch, it's not dry. Okay, layer 2, I just chose some really lightweight papers to collage around the very outside. So I have dress pattern paper, I have some tissue paper that I stamped with a script stamp, and I just tore those pieces and went around the perimeter of this canvas. That's my first layer. I'm going to let everything dry. It's really wet. Just want to make sure the canvas is good and dry. So this is a 16 by 20 canvas. It's probably going to take me a couple, 3 days to do everything I have planned, and yes, I said planned. So I know those of you who follow me know I don't ever plan anything, but I had this vision of this collage in my head for a long time, and so this one I kind of planned. I pulled things that I think I want to use, and I thought about color and whatever. I will mention this canvas started out many years ago as a landscape with a barn and field and a blue sky with clouds, and it never got finished, and it's just been kicking around for many years and had a big dent in it. So I pulled it out, I cleaned it off, I tried to get the dent out as best I could, and then I gave it 3 good coats of fresh, clean, new gesso, and it's going to get a new life. I took a piece of mulberry paper and tore it just to the size of the center of the canvas. Mulberry paper looks like this. It's just off-white, has the mulberry pulp in it. I just used matte medium and glued the piece down in the middle, and you can tell where it is by the speckles and the pulp that's in the mulberry paper. I can bring it up closer and you can see it. but when you glue it down, the edges just kind of melt away because the paper is thin. And then I just did the same thing, used my brayer and some white gesso, which you'll see in a second, to go over the whole thing again and just kind of add some texture and knock the color back and bring everything together a little bit. Okay, I'm working on this next layer, and I wanted to add a blue tone, so I'm mixing Payne's Gray, tube acrylic, with a bit of Titan Buff in a fluid media, or fluid acrylic by Deco Art Media. And I just gave it a dry brush over the whole thing, kind of concentrated around the edges a little bit over those papers that I put down. And now I'm just going a little bit heavier right along the edges. I know when I'm working on this bottom edge you can't really see it, but I'm going to move it down a little bit and you can see what I'm doing here when I do the top. Just mixing it on my brush, wiping my brush off a little bit, and just starting at the outside edge, I'm just bringing some of that color onto the very edge of the canvas. Okay, everything is good and dry, so I'm back. I'm bringing in the picture that I took of my dry lay so that I remember where I had everything. I'm going to sit that next to me. And I'm going to start gluing pieces down. So I have this cute little guy. This was in an antique children's book. He's just really sweet. He's got a little dunce cap on, I guess, and it looks like a Navy uniform. And the caption says, "It's not so much what you say as the manner in which you say it." I love that. And this edge has got old tape on it. It's super fragile. So he's going to go right here, little off center, right there. Okay, it's about to get all sticky now, so that medium on the back. I'm not worrying too much about getting that medium on the canvas as I do this. This canvas is big, and I'm kind of out of room as far as where I can lay things to glue them, because I have my iPad sitting here and all my papers and supplies, and this might be a job for, I guess it's going down okay. I was thinking I was going to have to break out the heavy gel. This edge might need it though. It's heavier with that tape on it. I might have to just catch that edge because it's wanting to pull everything else up. I want to get these old pieces glued down where it's cracked. It's really brittle. I don't want to lose them because I like them. That's probably another good argument for the heavier gel. It'll hold it in better. But I love the way this paper is toned around the edges. It's just, it makes me happy. This is matte super heavy gel. Then this lace is next, and I'm going to get it just right on the edge of that tape. This is also antique. And I'm just going to get it on here a little at a time, not too much. I'm not real sure how much working time I have. What I don't want is that dotty sprayed look. And I don't want everything super covered up. So I'm just taking a baby wipe now and I'm going to just tap over everywhere that I sprayed and kind of push it in and tap it down and play with it. And get underneath there. So I'm not trying to cover things up with white necessarily. I'm just trying to bring everything kind of together a little more cohesively to finish this piece off. So kind of boring and to watch, I'm sure, because it's just spray it on, mush it around, wipe it off, kind of a exercise here. So see, I don't want all that on that mirror. Some got underneath there. I don't think I probably would mind a little bit on there, but for right now I'm going to try to avoid them. That's a little piece of 8mm movie film. There's actually a frame on there of my brother and I standing looking out over the lake as kids. Remember, I have these cool little buttons I wanted to put on here too. I have 5 of them, so that will be last. We'll just glue those down at the very end. Alright, it's done. I went around one more time with the white Distress spray stain, and then at the very end I just took some Payne's Gray tube acrylic, watered it way down, and splattered some on. So hopefully you can see the splatters. And that was just what it needed, just a touch of something else. So I'm happy with it. I hope you enjoyed watching the process. It was much longer than what I'm showing you, but we sped it up and we got it in. So if you enjoyed watching this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd really love it if you would do so. All of that really helps my channel grow, and I'm growing really slow, so love to have your support if you'd like to give it. And in the meantime, go make some art. Bye.